He talks a good game. He talks a good game. On the outside, he talks a good game.
Hello, welcome to On the Edson. How we doing? The morning, the lunchtime after the game last night, massive news coming out in the football world. It's all happening. The chat is open. Let us know your thoughts. If you're not going to join in the chat, let us know in the comments below. So, went to the game last night, West Ham against Man United. I got back after the train. I got back to my car. It was about midnight-ish, something like that. And I tried to do a live show, and then I reviewed this live show, which I did on my phone, and it's completely the wrong way round. I have no idea what happened there, so I do apologise if you were trying to watch that and you thought, sorry, I'm not watching this because it was all upside down and everything. Anyway, so my thoughts from last night is that I lost my voice. I was shouting a lot. I was urging on the lads to, to realise that West Ham were as good, if not better, than Man United. Man United weren't playing well at all. First half, for both teams, it was... There was some moments, but there's a lot of slow build-up play from West Ham as well. Man United at times were, passing the ball effectively, and it seems if they were cutting through us quite easily at times. But in terms of the final third, both teams were struggling to get past that, into the final third with any kind of real endeavour, if you know what I mean, and success. So I think the first half, for me anyway, watching it from where I am, in the corner flag area as it is, it was a bit flat, right? It was a bit flat. It was kind of, and when the half-time whistle went, we kind of going, oh, thank God that's over, right? Second half started, I thought we came out a lot better. We had a lot more intent. And it just showed that we had them on the ropes for a little bit. Yeah, they kept on coming at us as well, but we had them on the ropes. Then we got the goal from Souček as well. The crowd were in fine voice. It was a horrible night in terms of weather beforehand. I think it eased off during the game as well. But it was a horrible night for weather-wise. And up until that point, it hadn't been the best of games. It'd been okay, if you know what I mean. Then it started to come alive. And the problem is when it came alive, also Man United woke up as well. And I was screaming at them to say, don't give them any space. Get closer to them. Because we were standing off a little bit and then they were coming at us. And then we sat back even more and they came at us. And then they got their goal was disallowed, which is by the finest of margins. It was offside. We were lucky to get away with that one, I think. But I'm not complaining because, and then we were 1-0 and everybody was in fine voice. It appeared that it was a great atmosphere last night. Not only just around me, but, it was, there was chants reverberating around the stadium. It felt good. It was good to have a night game there with something on it. We needed it. We needed that win. I said before, we have to try for the win, but we need those 3 points. And by hook or by crook, how we win that game is irrelevant. So as the game was going on and Man United started to come at us in the second half, wave after wave, and I thought it's any minute now, and they got that goal. And it was disallowed. I thought, well, maybe tonight is our night. But they just kept on coming. We had a couple of opportunities, didn't take our chances. I think Wilson had a chance. Traore had a chance right at the end. Nuno brought on the subs and it was kind of going defensive, and I can kind of understand why, because Man United were getting on top, but at the same time that stopped us going forward a little bit more. Wilson was doing all right when he came on. He had that chance. But the referee, I think, maybe you've seen other people talk about it already, but the referee, what the hell was he doing? The decisions that he was making, the added time that he gave to Man United, again, you got to call into question here the integrity of some referees and what they're actually thinking here. Because there were clear fouls on West Ham players that were just not given at all. And other times he was giving free kicks for both teams, right? It wasn't as if it was completely one-sided. But there were about 4 or 5 clear fouls, 1 obstruction, about 3 wrestles to the ground, 1 went through to the legs, or took the player's legs away. And you kind of think, well, what are you actually seeing here? What are you actually seeing that makes you think this is not a free kick? But look, then they eventually got their goal. They equalised in the 4th or 5th minute of added time or whatever it was. It was a real bitter pill to swallow, I've got to say, because we'd howled out. And, you know, if any under normal circumstances, you think, well, and look, I'm sure if you go back, you could probably count up the 7 minutes somewhere. But in the spirit of the game, it just appeared that this was given extra time for Man United just to come back at us. Whereas I thought it was it warranted that we'd scraped over the line, and it would have been a scrape over the line, really. But a couple of Man United fans afterwards, texted me saying, "No, we got away with that." Well, yeah, I think you got away with it. I definitely think you got away with it. I think the referee helped you. We didn't put away some of the chances that we had as well. So, we were screaming at the players, go get a second, keep on trying to go forward. And I think this also coincided with Nuno trying to start bringing on defensive players, which was shoring up midfield to a certain degree, but it was taking us away. I'm not saying they didn't have any, they weren't trying. It just seemed to take away that little bit of edge that we had going forward. It was frustrating. It's starting to get frustrating, and we were all worried because there were shots coming in on us, and Hermansen I thought did all right as well. I thought defensively we were doing brilliant. Mavropanos and Zazazi, I thought they were doing all right actually. Great, especially Mavropanos. Time and time again, he was getting his foot in, getting his head in, stopping the play. Sometimes it was a bit last-ditch defending, but do you know what I mean? It was good. But it just wasn't enough. Just wasn't enough. Do you know what I mean? Let's get into the chat. Thanks for joining, Budgie. Thanks for joining here. What do you say? Afternoon, Alf. Finally caught you live. Thanks very much. I was disappointed with the result, but the performance was fantastic, to be honest. The ref, as you said, was shocking. Yeah, it was. Look, the performance, I'm not saying that we were terrible at all. Actually, I thought we were great and we were chipping away in there. But, the point is that Man United were not better than us. They were actually, for the large portions of the game, we were much better than them. I think we deserved to win that game. I think we deserved to take it and take all 3 points. The problem is, if you look at the table now, we are 2 points behind Forest, right? 2 points behind Forest. And they're playing Wolves tonight. So if they beat Wolves, we're 5 points behind. Now, this brings on to another subject as well. Of course, you might have heard that Thomas Frank has been sacked by Spurs. They lost again last night, 2-1 to Newcastle. This is what I was saying beforehand. If Newcastle can beat Spurs, it brings them down. Leeds got a 2-2 draw against Chelsea. It would have been preferable for us as West Ham that Leeds lost last night, so it kept them closer to us. But look, they're on 30 points. Spurs are on 29 points. And Brighton and Crystal Palace on 31 and 32 points. So it's actually pretty close. There's about 6-7 points in it between us and, let's say, 13th place. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility. But if we'd won last night, we would have been even closer. It would have given us that momentum just to keep on going forward. And it would have made Nottingham Forest really nervous. And it certainly would have made Spurs nervous. I've got to say, it doesn't matter to me either way what happens to Spurs, in all fairness, right? But it does not surprise me that they've sacked their manager. It doesn't surprise me at all. But again, their players are all over the place. Their form is all off the place, and their tactics didn't align with what they've got at their disposal under Thomas Frank. It just hasn't worked right at the start. So they've been dragged into this, and this is what we want. We want as many teams, especially Spurs, to be dragged into it. In the final analysis, if we get out of this and Spurs go down, it will be the best birthday Christmas present all rolled into one. I still can't see that happening, especially whoever they get there as a manager in. They were talking about De Zerbi last night, whether he would come in, because he's just been sacked from, or he's left Marseille, but he's not coming with a great record from Marseille either. So he's going to be coming in, if he does come in. Who knows? Would they just get somebody to the end of the season, or would they try and give somebody a 2-3 year contract? Regardless, what the point I'm trying to make is, I don't want to talk about Spurs, but they could have an instant little bump there, an instant reaction to start them getting points and start them playing on the front foot. That brings those points back to them. So that means that they start pulling away from us. So every point that we get is crucial, but 1 point really isn't enough. We need 2 points. What was really still encouraging from last night, although it was gut-wrenching, I was gutted that we lost right in the dying seconds. Oh, sorry, we conceded in the dying seconds, right? It would have been absolutely worse, because at one stage I thought they were going to get another and we would have lost, right? But at least we got a point. But at least we can take that performance and take that momentum into the next game. If we can get a result next week, which I fully expect us to, against Burton Albion, that gives us momentum in the cup, but also gives us momentum in our overall performances and our overall, way forward in the league. Then, if we can, take it into the Bournemouth game, get a result, see what happens in the next couple of games with the rest of the teams like Forest, Spurs, Leeds, Brighton, and Crystal Palace. You could argue with that as well. Then all of a sudden, we got a bit of a we got a chance, right? Full props to Dinoson and Southern, great effort for them. Southern, but Dinos definitely. I thought that he had a fantastic game. Souček as well. I thought obviously he got the goal, but brilliant. Doesn't surprise me either. Almost as bad as West Ham. What's that? Who's Spurs? Yeah. Everybody would have taken a draw before the game. See, that's where I disagree with you, Riley boy. But great comment, and I know exactly what you mean. In that, yes, on the face of it, against Man United, you would take the point. My point has always been, we can't afford points. We must get 3 points. And the closer we get to the end of the season, we need those 3 points even more. And I suppose I'm being a bit impatient here now. In fact, I'm being very impatient, is that I need us to get out of this bottom 3 as soon as possible, because we're still in it, and because by the end of tonight, we could be 5 points off it with, 13 game? No. Is that 12 games to go? Then all of a sudden, it's desperation time. Desperation time here. The 2 form teams are Chelsea, Man United, West Ham, unlucky against both. Definitely unlucky against Man United. I think last night, I think we were unlucky. I think Chelsea, that was more tactical in the second half. Tactical mistake by Nuno that caused that. I mean, if I have to be honest, and I've said this right from the very start, he still wanted to tighten it up last night, and I get it. I get that, what he wanted to do. But at that stage, we were still winning 1-0. So again, he'll revert back to type every single time you think, right, we need to close this down. I get it, but you're closing it down at 1-0. And it's almost like, well, which way do you go? Do you close it down at 1-0, or do you still try and go for another goal? I was screaming, I'm sure many other people around me were screaming, keep on going, get another one, keep on putting pressure on their defence, keep on trying to turn them over. When they made their defences, their changes in the second half, they seemed to get better. They definitely seemed to get better. And with every substitution they made, they seemed to be a bit more threatening. And that was the problem for us. But it was so gut-wrenching last night. Honestly, so gut-wrenching. We come in, and as soon as the final whistle went, I just like many others, of course, did a mass exodus, right? Because it's a late kickoff, and it's a late return home, right? So, the first thought on my mind is trying to make the last train home. So I just made it in time, would you believe? Got to the Stratford station. Got onto the train, then got onto Paddington, and I just made it in time to catch it. But I tell you what, the trains were packed. Even at Paddington going out, it was packed, full of West Ham fans as well coming away. So it was a big night. It's a big night of football in the capital. It's a big night of football. Spurs, Chelsea, and West Ham all playing at home. So there's a lot of football activity last night, a lot of football fans milling about. The trains are packed. So I didn't get back to my home station about midnight-ish, I think, something like that. By the time I got to the car, it was midnight-ish. It was a fair old slog getting there. I mean, it was weird before the game because you're going in trying to have a couple of pre-match drinks. But because it was peeing down with rain, and you go into the pubs and it's all clammy and horrible, and it's just everybody's wet, and you got your big coat on, and you think, should I take this coat off? And it all gets a bit. You walk to the stadium, and it's just it's peeing down with rain, and you're like going, oh God, what's going to happen? So my thoughts were that the conditions were going to be really tricky for both teams to play last night because I thought the ball would be skidding on the surface. But actually it didn't seem that way. A couple of times there was loss of control, or the ball just sort of skidded off. But actually it was all right. They coped with it really well, I thought. So, fair dues to both sets of players in trying to make a game of it. I mean, in terms of fouls being dirty or anything, I didn't see anything too bad at all, really. I don't think the referee was missing anything like that. I think the referee was just missing just a lot of technical fouls. And I think he was missing a lot of, like obstruction and, grabbing and manhandling players to the ground, I think. I think that he was missing, especially those for us. He wasn't missing the ones that were happening to Man United. He definitely wasn't missing those to us. So, we've got to go back to, surely, you can't have this since Ferguson days where Man United just keep on having all these added moments. It is like a well-known thing. Everybody knows Fergie time, Man United time, now Carrick time. Everybody knows it. So if everybody knows it, then what's going on? Surely you got to be thinking about it. Surely, the PGMO or whatever it's called, the Referees Association, whatever the frig they call themselves these days, surely they should be looking into this. Surely there'd be some kind of investigation somewhere to say, hold on a minute, how come are this team always getting the added time, extra added time, it seems, and other teams, might not be. Or it doesn't appear that they're getting them as well. But there we go. Shapnil, hello there, thanks. How good would it be if Leeds and yourselves were celebrating putting Spurs down on the last game of the season? It'd be amazing. It'd be absolutely amazing. I don't want to see Leeds go down. I think they play some cracking football. I like watching Leeds. I like watching Leeds at home. I think they're entertaining to watch, so I'm happy with them. Forest, actually, I'm not. The only reason I want Leeds and I want Forest and I want any other team above us to lose and to lose points, honestly, it's nothing personal. It's more about us than any other team, But if it's Spurs going down, yeah, brilliant. There are certain teams, I think, that lots of other fans don't like, and I think probably Spurs are one of them. I think Man United are one of those teams, right? But I think if I'm looking at Spurs over Leeds and Forest, okay, you're asking the wrong person because it's a biased opinion. I'm always going to give you a biased opinion because I don't never want Spurs to get out of it, you know. PGMOL, that's what I was trying to think. Thank you, Budgie. Only care about the reputation of PGMOL. Yeah, well, yeah, it definitely feels that way. It definitely feels that way. But listen, it overall last night, I came away feeling really pissed off. I got to say, came away feeling really pissed off that we just lost it in the last minute. Or lost a lead, you know. I keep on saying loss because it feels like a loss in many ways. It does. It feels like a bit of a loss that we were having 3 points. We're going to be level with Forest. You know, the kind of the promised land of getting out of relegation was within sight, was within grasp, and it just kind of, you know, went through our fingers, which was it was gut wrenching. You see. And that's why, you know, you're kind of looking around, you're effing and blinding, and, you know, we're all getting a bit antsy out there, and, you know, a few F-bombs are being thrown around, and a few C-bombs are being thrown around, and all that sort of stuff. And we're all doing it. You know, I'm the mild-mannered janitor of footballing world, but even I succumb to this every game. Every game I do it, you know. But there we go, you know, and you just... You know, you're hopeful. You're always hopeful. And I always say that, you know, given 3 or 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I would have thought you would have been crazy if, you know, we could have got out of this. You thought we could have got out of this. Because that was based on the performances, what we'd seen. But then all of a sudden we've had the big switcheroo, and we're starting to play well and get some decent results and start giving those better teams like the Chelseas and Man Utds, supposedly on paper, much more of a game. Then you think, hold on a minute, maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do this. I mean, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. Away we go. Oh, Budgie, thank you very much. Want to pop an old school hammers tonight? I'd love to, mate. I'd absolutely love to. Another night. If you send it via Russ as well, or whatever, I would love to. Unfortunately, I've got things on tonight. That's the only thing. But I would love to. But thanks for the invitation. Really appreciate it. What are we going to do? Where do we go from here? Next week we got the FA Cup, haven't we? I'm just looking at the fixtures here. Wrong one. There we go. So fixtures tonight. Some big ones. Villa, Brighton, Palace, Burnley, Man City, Fulham, Forest, Wolves, Sunderland, Liverpool. I've already talked about those in terms of the importance of us. And then tomorrow night, Brentford at home to Arsenal. Brentford are going well, right? Saturday, FA Cup, 12:15 West Ham, early kickoff, Burton Albion. And then in midweek, it goes to Champions League. Next, so there's the following Saturday, 21st, we're at home to Bournemouth. So we'll have to see. I've got a feeling I'm working that day, so I might not even be able to get to the game, but I'll have to see. Maybe I can do a quick switcheroo on that one as well. Who are Forest playing that weekend? Let's have a look. Forest are playing Liverpool that weekend. That could work in our favour. Palace are playing Wolves. Spurs are playing Arsenal. So by that Sunday, the 22nd, if we beat Bournemouth and if Forest and Spurs both lose, that could be very good for us. Saturday, Leeds are away to Aston Villa. That'll be a tough game. Again, our future is in the hands of the other teams, really, because we've been put in this position by Potter and Nuno in those first few months, right? We've been put in this position where we've been terrible up until just past Christmas. We've been the terrible teams. or a terrible team with terrible managers and terrible tactics. Now all of a sudden we turned it around. So, it could give us something, right? It could give us something. Open invite, sir. Thank you very much, Buzz. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Right. Well, that's it. I mean, interesting. I mean, if anybody's got any thoughts about Thomas Frank, the interest in the BBC here, I've said, I'm just looking at their site. I can show you what I'm looking at if you like, but I didn't actually prepare the actual site. So just bear with me 1 second, and I'll get it up there. Here we go. Done. So I'm looking at the BBC site here. Look, Thomas Frank. This is the interesting thing. So Frank sacked by Tottenham. Why he's gone, and what next for your reaction? Oh, I do love it. I think it's really funny that it's always like this clickbait title. Why he's gone. Well, everybody in the footballing world know why he's gone, right? It's not rocket science. Football is a results-based game, but it's also a performance-based game. You can win over fans. You can win over the doubters by putting in great performances and attacking performances and good tactical displays, right? You can do that. You can win, even though you don't get the results. You can still have people on your side, but at some point, of course, you have to match that with results. Now, people, or fans, I should say, fans will forgive poor performances if you're getting the results. If you're scraping wins, win after win after win, you're getting up the points. You're in, 4th, 5th position in the league. Even though the performances aren't great, just as we did for the large portion of that those 2 seasons when we finished 6th and 7th, especially the 7th season, there was large times where we actually weren't playing well, but we were getting the wins, we were getting the results. Remember Souček getting all those set piece headers and goals and things like that. So we were getting the results, but it wasn't great performances, right? But people kind of forget about the lack of performances if you're getting the wins. But it always will bite you in the arse in the end, because performance is the one that sees you through. What's the saying? Form is temporary, class is permanent, right? It's a similar kind of thing. Performance is permanent, results are temporary. Yeah, so you can have a run of results. It doesn't mean you're any good, really. It just depends who you're playing against. What's their level of performance? Did they turn up on the day? Have they got any injuries? All that sort of stuff. So it's the same for us. We've got to look at our performances and say over the last 5-6 games, our performances have got so much better. So much better. Individual performances. I think I said yesterday, our problem is any backup in those positions. And as was evident last night, when we take off our players, are the players coming on giving any sort of quality going forward? I will say this about Tati last night. He run his arse off. He was all over the place, running around, chasing down balls. And if there was ever a player that has endeared himself to West Ham fans, I think he's one of them. He was brilliant. I thought he was brilliant. Again, not a lot of success, not a lot of things happening, didn't take a lot of shots on goal and all that sort of stuff. But his just effort in just chasing down balls. And that, when Man United were coming on to us last night, that's what we needed more of from all the players. We needed more harassment of Man United players just to be able for them to keep them at bay, and and it could be fatigue as well, of course, but it seems as if a lot of the time we were just standing off them, stepping back, letting them come at us, letting them pass the ball around, make their crosses and everything like that, and we're still susceptible. Defensively we're still weak, right? We know we are. We're still susceptible, and we're allowing them to do it for large portions of the time. But there we go. Budget. The good news is that Spurs are in torment at present, but that could change with the right appointment. Yeah, absolutely for them. Absolutely, it could change, and that we hope that whatever change that they have is going to be worse than Frank, right? Yeah, we hope that Leeds lose every game. We hope that Forest lose every game. We hope that Palace lose every game. Everybody loses above us, and we win points. We get points, and until we're out of it, and then we're clear. And when we're free and clear, then we can go back to being indifferent about any other team. Right? It doesn't really matter as long as it's not us. As long as it's not us. That's the issue here. I mean, I'll be very interested to see. I mean, like now they're talking about De Zerbi as well, leaving Marseille, which I talked about. I'd be interested to see whether he'd be a good fit for Spurs and the kind of players that they got, the injuries that they've got. I mean, I just don't rate Spurs. I just don't rate them as a team, right? I just don't rate their players. And, but then again, I never thought about them that much, so I couldn't really say. But they've got tough games ahead. If they don't pick up those points, they're right in it, just like with us. And, if we start picking up points, the great thing is we're the team in form. Down at the bottom, we're the team in form. Let me just look at the tables again. We've won 3 out of our last 6. And Forest have won 2 out of their last 6, but obviously they're playing tonight, so if they beat Wolves, they'll be similar kind of us. Spurs haven't got a win in their last 6 at all. Leeds have also got 2 out of their last 6. And Brighton, above 14th, have only got 1 win in their last 6, as have Crystal Palace, but they won their last time out. So in terms of form teams, it is West Ham, Leeds, and closely behind, I suppose, a Forest as well. Although they lost last time out. So if there's ever a gauge there that us and a couple of other teams can keep on pulling our way out of it, hopefully, right? But it's the other teams going to be dragged into it, and that's what I keep on saying. Those teams above have got to keep on losing, so it squeezes everything in. Squeezes everything together. For Newcastle United last night, who got that great win against Spurs, that propels them up to 10th, 36. Above, for them, they're going to love it because they're above Sunderland right now on 36, equal 36 points. But there we go. It's a shame now we have to rely on others for survival. Yeah, I mean, part of it is that, of course, but part of it is that we've got to keep on winning. We've got to put out these performances and not give up hope. And at the fan base, we're not going to give up hope. But I hold my hand up, as I always do. I gave up hope a long time ago. I thought we were gone. I thought we were absolutely gone. But the point is, if we are gone, if we survive and we don't go down, this should be the biggest wake-up call for us as a club to say, if we don't do something drastic in the summer for next season, we'll be in it again. We cannot keep on doing this year in, year out and just assuming that we're going to be better than 3 worst teams in the league. Because last year, you could argue we were one of the worst 3. Okay, technically we weren't, but on form, especially second half of the season, I think we were. I think us, Spurs and Man United were technically the worst 3 teams in the league. This year, we have been one of the worst 3 teams in the league. If we hadn't picked up these points recently, we'd be gone, just like Burnley and Wolves. We would be gone. But there we go. Anyway, listen. You don't think we'll survive yet? It's still so up in the air, right? It's still so up in the air. Again, I'll always say, if we get out of this, it will be a miracle. It will be a miracle. You got to take the likes of the signings that we've made, Tati and Pablo and Disasi on loan, of course, La Madrid, where they will feature sometime or whether, be right for next season. But also, I keep on thinking, this is the problem I have. I keep on thinking that the other teams, other clubs, are looking at our players. They're looking at Somerville, we know that. They're always going to be looking at Bowen, and they're going to be looking at somebody like Fernandez. Fernandez is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic, right? He's probably one of our most influential players right now. He is our most influential player, probably. Those 3 players, other clubs are looking at, and they're going to want to poach them. It's whether we can keep hold of those players. regardless of whether we stay up or not. It's whether we can keep hold of those players, and that's going to be key for us. That's going to be absolutely key going into next season, wherever we are, whether we're Championship or whether we're Premier League. If we get relegated, the chances are a lot of these players are going to go. But we're going to go. Ruddy Boy, hello. If West Ham won the games we were leading in, we'll be top 4. Well, we'll be in a much better position. Absolutely, be in a much better position. The amount of points that we've dropped, the amount of games that we've gone away. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, listen. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for joining. Really, thanks for that. Really appreciate you joining. Go and do your stuff. Go and enjoy your day. And I'll probably take a bit of a rest from the old West Ham thing. Let's just see. Well, I'll probably be back after the FA Cup game, right? I'm not going to that. I'm working. But yeah, I'll probably be back after that. But really, it's hopefully we'll get a result against Burton. I'm expecting to, and then let's see what we can do next the following week against Bournemouth. But all I can say is thanks for joining, and up the hammers, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.